All right. So do we have any public comment for non-agenda items? Okay, seeing none, let's, I did say to, Kate before we started, Mark, I'm hoping to kind of run through this agenda quicker than usual because I am just recovering from surgery. So I'm a little, that's why I'm on Zoom. So I'm very tired. So, if we can get through everything in an hour, that would be great. So.
Yeah. I'll keep my mouth shut. That'll help.
No, that's okay. I just thought I'd offer that up. So we've got the March 5th minutes to approve. So I'm looking for a motion to approve March 5th minutes.
I move
I
to
can,
approve the minutes.
or Markin. I'll say Mark. I
In a second.
can second.
All right. Any discussion?
Nope, good.
Great minutes as always. All right, so all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, none opposed. All right. All right, so we have on the agenda, there were actually two select board meetings. The first one was March 18th, and then I went to one last night, so I wanted to update you guys about that. So on the agenda for the 18th, we had talked to the select board about whether or not there were like 4 questions about, what to do with the rec committee structure and the goals and the recruitment, given Kate and my terms are ending and we're not going to reapply. So I just wanted to, have an opportunity to, have us, debrief about what we heard. And if there were any follow-up action steps beyond the fact that I clearly heard that they said they did want to keep the same town representation, so we can move forward with trying to recruit new members to fill like the Huntington spot and see if we can get anyone in Richmond. And Jack offered to try to find someone in Bolton. So, what was your take on the meeting and what we should do?
To me, yeah, I mean, they basically said, sure, sounds great. Keep it the way it is, even though we're not going to have any members. And, it didn't really speak to what we do if we don't get members, but I guess that's for the select board to figure out. And I was left kind of fuzzy on the details of like what the directions that they want our committee to head in, especially considering our work and the Free Parks Committee and, working together. Like it's unclear to me what the focus of the rec committee will be in the future. So I guess that will be something, I don't know, for new members to figure out in conjunction with the select board and with the Free Parks Committee.
Yeah, I think that there was some discussion, and Lisa may remember this about, whether or not there should be a revisioning about what the focus is. I can't remember how Lisa expressed it. It was towards the end of the meeting, so I think I was tired by then. But the one thing that I thought about when that was tossed out is I actually think the vision and mission and goals we have are still appropriate, even if we were to collaborate, or take on a bigger responsibility with the new proposed recreation infrastructure that might end up with the ARPA money. So I didn't think that was necessary. I mean, we've it's April, so we have to start recruiting. And I just think that we can still, share that, the 3 towns are trying to make sure there's recreational opportunities for all residents across the 3 towns. and that really is our goal. And, ARPA money certainly has been an opportunity for Richmond to see the parks change. And so there may be, some additional work. I think that's the way I would pitch it. Some additional priorities in, how that's, implemented or organized once, all the select board and the community weighs in. So I think we can speak to that, and just, say that there's some flexibility in, how you set up your annual, work that you do. But certainly there could be a lot of opportunities with, getting Brown's Court having new stuff, Volunteers Green having, revamped and the Round Church area. So I think, I'm thinking, I don't know that we need to formalize anything. Maybe it's more about writing up some points for when I reach out to the Huntington Rec Committee and the residents about attending, and Jack could use it to, talk to Bolton people.
We're gonna Bolton on Burlington too. No, just kidding.
And then you could use the same for recruiting from Front Porch Forum. And I do think what's interesting is on May 16th, at last night's meeting with the select board, they are going to do a summit. Mark, you recall this, where they're going to get together all the players that are looking at Volunteers Green and recreation and try to hammer out what's really feasible as far as moving stuff to the high ground and things like that. So, I think there'll be some more clarity after that. And I think it just will naturally kind of present itself, So those are, I guess, my thoughts is let's try to coordinate a message that talks about, what we've done and where it might go in the future, maybe for recruitment. And Lisa, I'm sorry, I see your hand up. So you probably had a comment.
Well, yeah, you'd used my name somewhere. I went,
Yeah.
I'm looking at notes from our last meeting where you guys had we just kind of had a discussion, a roundtable, I guess, discussion. Fran actually was the one that, let me just read some excerpts here. Fran reviewed her experiences on the rec committee, which had a mission, but did not have anything written down for their job. She summarized, she stated that the rec committee needs a formal mission as to their job. That makes sense. It's a lot easier to perform a mission if everybody's going the same direction and what it is. But she also said that to have a viable rec committee, more office support is needed. Just the logistics, the clerical stuff that, that's the stuff that can tear down an empire. Honestly, it isn't done. It's the little stuff. But it matters a lot. And that I don't think anybody has an answer for exactly, but that will evolve from the mission. If the mission has, a public notice kind of portion to it, now we've got one piece of the clerical or work that we needed, things like that. So
so let me just interrupt you for just a second, Lisa. So the fact is when the rec committee was revamped in 2020, they came up with a mission statement, which is we serve the communities of Richmond, Huntington, and Bolton by overseeing and designing a variety of diverse recreational programs accessible to all residents. These programs shall enhance community cooperation, resilience, and encourage active mind, body, and spirit. And then there's 4 goals. And so there was a lot of work that first year. I don't think I started until 10 or 11 months into it. So they created that, and that was created in 2020. So that's where we do have a mission. We have a vision statement. We have 4 goals, so I just,
Sherry, I was just gonna say, I agree. And you have a very detailed work plan. I guess what I meant when I said the future isn't clear. I'm clear on what our mission and goals are. I think just how things are going to come about, with possible new recreation structures and working with the 3 parks, some of the details of what
Right.
jobs of the rec committee members will
Yeah.
be, you know, what their responsibilities will be are still unknown, but we definitely have a strong, you know, mission and goals overall, and our work plan that could still be used in the future.
And it could be adapted to whatever, you know, collaboration with 3 parks is discussed. Jeannie, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to add that we had also talked a little bit, and I kind of thought maybe Fran was talking about is our town ready for a recreational director? And even if it's a 10-hour a week kind of a position, it was just discussed, and a couple people brought it up at our meeting, and one community member who was attending the meeting really thought that that could be a volunteer position if it were advertised as, you know, 10-hour a week recreation director. That was just a suggestion. We haven't, as our committee, recommended that. I think that was just part of the discussion. And I know, I think Fran was just speaking when she was on the committee that they didn't really have a mission. And if indeed a director were hired, you would really, really want to have that job description well done, because there was another time, I think there was a director for a short amount of time, and there wasn't really a job description. So the person wasn't sure what they were doing. So whether it's volunteer or an actual paid position, if that were to come about, that could be in addition to having a recreation committee, but just someone who would in charge.
Yeah, when we first started, we actually did have, Richmond had the UVM Rise Vermont person, Justin, who was paid by UVM to help communities with wellness and health and physical recreational activities. So he used to commit time to helping our committee, you know, kind of worked on, I think he helped with the mission and the vision and the goals and surveying and things like that. So that's when I first started. And then unfortunately, Rise Vermont kind of stopped happening. You know, it was a way to support communities with health and wellness. So so it did work quite well. And I don't know, Kate and Mark, if you recall that, but I think it was Justin Graham. Was that he was around?
Yeah, I do remember that. I think he and Kate did a lot of the like the survey. I think he did a lot of work on putting out that survey the rec committee did.
Yeah, and he was an advisor, I remember. So we would have discussions, and it was that kind of support to the committee that was very helpful. So so that's still on the table. But I guess I'm just trying to be as targeted as possible, because we've got one more month to try to recruit people. And after that, you know, in June, if if we can't get at least 2 more people on the committee, we really need 5. Then we'd have to, basically the rec committee would not exist for a period of time until there was interest. So I think that Kate and I are a little bit concerned, or at least I am, that that's where we're kind of headed.
Yeah, just because we haven't been overly successful with trying to get members so far recruited. So it is, a concern.
Yeah, so, but we can still give it a try and see what happens. You know, but, what do you think, Lisa?
Didn't want to just blurt it out. You know, it sounds to me like a paid person is the starting point. You know, when they're paid, then they kind of automatically have gravitas or whatever it is, you know, wow, they're being paid to say these things. And someone who can focus on just that and not, you know, their other job or all these other things. But I know the town isn't going to be able to spring for much, but maybe, you know, an 8-hour job, it would help with the coherence of communications and information that goes out to draw in prospects, you know, committee members, and also events. Somebody who knows something about the business of it I'd say they should have some authority and have a budget. I don't know how much of a budget, but they should be entitled, or not entitled, but enabled to spend up to a certain amount without having to go through Josh
Yeah.
or whatever, some authority to do that. And those things I think would really reap rewards because there'd be consistency and there'd be
Yeah.
continual, there'd be a contact point also
Yeah,
and continual, refreshing of the narrative and so forth. So
right.
so
Yeah.
the place to start is to have the mission statement and what that does. You guys can take what you have, and I'm sure you have probably 95% of what's needed. And then we go look for someone who will do this for pay for an 8-hour job. They'll say, well, what else? What do I do the other 4 days a week? I don't know. What were you doing before? So,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah.
maybe the state has some kind of grant or stipend or something for recreation, a 90-day position or something. I have no idea. These are I'm just throwing ideas out.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of potential there. There's a lot of good that can come of it. And you guys have already seen, I mean, you guys are experienced. You know what the programs are, what's been done in the past, what's
Yeah.
worked, what doesn't. That's a big help. Excuse me. That's a big help to someone coming in to a job that hasn't filled it before. So
Yeah.
I think that's a good opportunity.
Yeah.
You'll have to talk it up on the select board.
What's that?
Members. I said, talk it up to the other select board members.
Yeah. Well, you guys, the roundtable that, there's the roundtable that we had, and
Yeah.
that we will have are good. I mean, recreation is something that everybody inherently understands. I mean, there's a lot of details to it, but inherently is in favor of it. I think I can't think of a person that's against recreation. They should just go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're preaching to the choir.
Mark?
Okay, Mark, you wanted to add?
Yeah, well, yes, and apologize. I had to step away for a moment. But I just came back to that conversation of Lisa suggesting a paid staff position, and I could not tell you how great an idea that is to have somebody
Not my idea.
connected to the town, but also focusing on recreation, and would give the rec committee a lot more direction, because then we could support them. We could share those hours of what they're trying to do in a part-time position
Mhm.
and provide support to them while
Yeah.
having a better grasp on the financials and the things that need to be done in the
Yeah.
rec area that just don't get communicated to us. They
Mhm.
just get decided at the corporate level that, we've got to bid out the lawn mowing per se, or
Mhm.
we need to get an excavator in here to fix the playground. Whereas, maybe that's something that a couple of volunteers could put together and do, and not rely on town staff to do that on already full day. So it's very tough. It's been very tough to be on the rec committee and not have I mean, we've sort of set our own agenda, but our agenda hasn't necessarily been sympathetic with what's going on in the town and the offices and the decision making there. We're not always looped in necessarily.
Mhm. Mhm.
And man, I tell you, I don't know what we need to do, and maybe that's the part I stepped away and missed to help strengthen that position, that argument, that suggestion to bring in a paid staff member or not. But I'll do whatever I can to enable that. I think that's the best that
So,
could happen
yeah.
in Richmond.
So I think, Mark, if you could, since Kate and I are going to try to, and Jack are going to try to recruit members, do you think you could work on kind of writing up, kind of what the role would be of a paid staff person? And we can look at it at the May
Yeah.
meeting?
Mhm.
Sure.
Okay. So then that makes me feel a little more confident, just because we got like a plan A and a plan B. And I still think the idea that Fran had, or Jeannie mentioned Fran had about like maybe the person could be a volunteer, that might still work. We don't know, but let's just see if we can, iron out like this is what we're really asking the person to do. And that I like it because it's like the continuity thing, especially if it's a resident of Richmond, So,
somebody even
yeah,
with limited hours who
Yeah.
had some interaction with the town staff that
yeah,
isn't necessarily just used to support the rec committee, but to support rec, and
Yeah.
then tell the rec committee, okay, this is what you can do to
Yeah.
facilitate this, and give us some
Yeah.
very specific guidance and directions, and motivate volunteerism and that kind of thing.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
man, I'm
Mhm.
excited.
yeah. And Jeannie, I see Lisa's hand first, and then we'll go to you, I
Oh, okay.
think.
Go for
Sorry,
I
it.
don't
Jeannie.
know if that's the order, but that's what I see on the
Yeah, I put
screen.
up a minute ago. Yeah, I'm just, honestly, one of the biggest needs of any organization is communication. And having a single point of contact as a director, whatever you want to call them the Lord of Recreation, if they like that. But, or hire, emperor, I don't know. But, someone who is accountable for, if they get the word, they got to get the word back out. It's pretty straightforward. It can get busy, but that is, if they only do that, I think things would be much clearer,
Yeah.
much more
Oh,
dynamic.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's great. Yeah.
I
So
think
this
there's
is
a lot of
good.
volunteers out there who want to
Mhm.
Yeah.
help out, and maybe not commit to being on the committee all the time,
Mhm.
but would be willing to step in and help grade the field, or do oddball stuff
Mhm.
under certain circumstances. And building on that, I think having a coordinator,
Mhm.
man,
Yeah, for people that are willing to do that
blowing
and
my
have
mind.
equipment or time, a lot of times all they need to know is when and where.
Yeah.
And is anybody going to help, or should I do it alone? Okay, either way is fine, but they need to know that. And those are important pieces of information. It's really easy for those to get lost in the shuffle. Whose job is it to communicate that to who? And
Mhm.
Yeah.
pretty quickly things start going and turn into a furball. So,
And Jeannie, you wanted to
Yeah.
add something too related to that,
Um,
or?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you start to work if you are working on a job description of some sort, Fran Thomas had also volunteered to do something
did
like
she
that.
already?
Well, no, I mean, she'd be happy to help out.
She'd be far more
She'd be a
experienced
good
at it than
person
what I
to-
would put together. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I
I'll
think,
reach out to her.
she had
Thank you.
some strong ideas. And it wasn't Fran who suggested the volunteer. There was a community member who was online who was pretty insistent that there may be some very capable person out there that would do that. But I think that would be the select board,
That's
decision.
really, sorry to blurt in, but maybe pay is not the major thing.
Right.
Authority is
Mhm.
maybe the
Mhm.
top factor. And I don't want to speak for Josh. He's the town manager, and this position would be under him somehow.
Mhm.
Money up to a certain point isn't a problem. Benefits and all that starts to get expensive. And, I don't think we're advertising for a position like that. This is more of a volunteer style job.
Mhm.
But, like Mark is saying, if there's a volunteer who's interested and has maybe some experience at it, and they don't need to pay, but they also want to know they're not going to waste their time. Excellent.
Mhm.
Authority, it's easy to give out. It's it's hard to control, but time will steer everybody the right direction, I think. So yeah, I don't know who, does somebody want to take this to Josh? I mean, we're talking about a town position. Um, should one of you folks mention it to Josh? Just if he goes, oh my gosh, throws his hand.
I've been meaning to get in and talk to him, with the rec committee existing for just one more meeting.
Mhm.
And
Right.
it's the rec person,
Yeah, yeah.
not the rec committee.
Mm.
not that I want this necessary position. Don't get me wrong. That's not,
Yeah.
appointing myself for that by any means.
Mhm.
But I think at that point, I wanted to have more of a sit down with Josh to discuss exactly what you're talking about is the need to have some degree of coordination and authority is a wrong word, but direction, guidance, very
Yeah.
specific, I still don't know what the rec committee budget is and where that money goes. 4 years into it, and I still haven't gotten a clear cut answer of who's doing what and why are they doing it instead of someone else and who's making the decisions or whatever. And that seems illogical.
Mark, I will
So-
say during the select board meeting, they did mention, which was my understanding, that we don't have control over any budget. We can only make suggestions because one community member raised a concern about people from other towns voting on like having the power right to spend Richmond funds.
I
But
remember I remember
They
that.
mentioned like, well, we don't actually have the power to do that. We just make suggestions to the select board.
Mhm. But
So.
but that's for this type of position, it's not really everybody else sort of has their own little thing, the gardening committee, kind of defined has a purpose. Parking, they're exploring parking outside of the confines of the Richmond government and coordinating with rec areas and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Of transportation, all of them have like this guidance. Rec is like, okay, you're on the rec committee, make it up as you go, and we have, and I think we've done a pretty good job,
Yeah.
but I don't think we've been as
It's a hard way
direct
to
as we
live.
could have been
Yeah.
in our actions.
Mhm.
And that comes from a lack of direction, not what are we supposed to do. But the rec committee is pretty, I would think for most of our, when you look at the rest of the commissions, it has a more integrated component to what's going on in town government. The decisions that are made about fixing the park and cleaning it and all this stuff that Pete and the road crew are doing on a regular basis that doesn't even get presented to us. We have no clue of what that is and where they're doing it, and why they're doing it, and how we could help, and maybe facilitate things or make things, less expensive for the town by coordinating volunteers, because it's all done in government.
Mhm.
And then we're just out here, okay, what can we do on our own? Which I think we've done some great stuff.
Personally, I secretly think Josh would appreciate not having to handle all that along with all the other stuff he handles. I mean, if there's somebody who can take some of that load off of him and they don't, and there's some guide rails set for them and they stay within them, it'll make his job easier. I mean, you can focus on the things that are the real problem areas,
Right.
a little harder. So he's stressed. I mean, you can see it when you talk to him. He's got the it's like he's plugged into 240 volts. He's really going. Okay.
So just to summarize, it sounds like again, Mark can look at defining the role and checking in with Josh and Fran for advice on, a paid part-time position. And then Kate and I and Jack, I'll start drafting some messages for our recruitment so that we can recruit in various ways in the 3 different towns. So we'll move forward with that. And then we'll just in May, we'll just, maybe look at what you came up with, Mark, for the description and what the feedback was from Josh and Fran. And then, maybe again, we'll have, who knows, maybe we'll have a couple of people that are interested. So you can't tell until you try. So May, we'll just check in on that and see where we're at. So the goal is to have at least the 5 representatives. But, again, if three can come, you can get three. There's a learning curve for the two new ones. But of course, if a position was available, that might make it a little bit easier. So we'll see if this plan can pull together. There might be a little bit of a temporary hold on meeting, but still with the idea of by June, maybe you have a full committee. Lisa.
Oh, sorry. I'm just stream of consciousness here, but does the rec committee use the town's website at all? Do you post anything there? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because that would
Yeah.
probably be the best forum for whatever you guys want to disseminate for information, at least right now. It's the
Yeah.
place, it's the go-to place. I don't know if there's
Yeah.
any limits on what
Yeah,
can be-
actually,
Hmm?
sorry.
No, that's right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I
Yeah,
totally
I mean-
interrupted you with a thought, a bit
That's
of a
right.
tangent. It's horrible. I mean, I apologize.
No, it's
It
better.
just made me think of it when you said that. It's like, oh my God, you guys are all leaving. I know nothing about the website.
Ah,
Yeah.
Who do we have who knows anything about that
Duncan.
website?
Duncan knows how. So we have two
Oh, he does.
sections,
Okay.
Lisa. We have the community section, which is
yeah.
all about the different recreation activities in the
Okay.
three towns. And then we have the
I need to go
board
look.
section, where all the boards are, which is our agendas and minutes and
Mhm,
stuff. So and Kirsten helped us with getting that web page up
Mhm.
and running on the community section. The
Mhm.
idea is anyone that's new to town can go there and see where to go and what to do.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep. And Jeannie?
Well, yes, I just wanted to ask, and maybe Lisa can help, or what do you think about, is this something as a position, something that somebody makes a proposal to the select board to do that? You said Mark maybe talk to Josh, but he's obviously not the one who's going to say yay or nay, or you could do that. So like, would you suggest that the recreation committee suggest that, the three parks committee combined? We're only going to be around for a little bit.
Well,
Not
Gee,
much more
that's a
time.
good question. I'm thinking about that. We don't really have the select board doesn't have liaison assignments. I mean, I attend a lot of meetings. I mean, we're just kind of trying to learn what they do, first of all, and second of all, show people that, I know, you know that we're looking, and I know you're out there, and everybody else knows you're out there, and just to make people feel part of something. And that's important. It's hard to describe, but it's important that people feel their efforts are not going unnoticed. I think, yes, Josh is the one who stands to benefit the most from this, I think. I mean, Josh's day must consist of about 10,000 pieces of information coming in, going out, making decisions very quickly. Some things take longer, some take meetings, some take conferences, and anything that can take care of I wouldn't call it routine, but the regular stuff for any particular subject and get it off of his plate. I think those two things, it helps him and it helps the activity or the committee that is getting it done for them. So, nothing but good. Now, I don't want to promise anything without Josh's at least comments first. But you're right, the select board is the ones that approves the budget. Josh spends a lot of work, and Connie and so forth, putting the budget together, but legally, the select board are the ones, the last word. So if the select board, if we get something on the agenda, which Josh puts together, to have a 5-minute conversation about a person to provide continuity to the recreation effort that the town is mounting, I think it would go well. And then Josh will have his, if it's approved by the select board, a motion to do that, then he'll have his mandate to work with, and then he can use his expertise to, go down the details. And meanwhile, if you guys have a job description and so forth, that helps him understand better what he's getting himself into, kind of. So yeah, I think this could come together quickly. I think it needs to come together quickly, and you guys have built up momentum for recreation over a number of years here, and it's there. That momentum is there. It just needs to be guided.
Great.
And I do think with the ARPA ideas that the Three Parks Committee has, it's another stimulus for thought about, okay, how do you really make this cohesive and work?
It's a big subject. Recreation is,
Yeah.
how do you
Yeah.
define it? Well, it takes about 4 or 5 pages.
Yeah, so, all right, so I think we have, talked that up pretty good. I like the, plans that we have. Sorry, the dog had to go out, so I have to let the dog out. And so I think the one thing I wanted to talk about was last night's select board meeting. And Mark, this is more so that I know you were one of the people. They did pick a date for the rec summit where the Three Parks Committee and the Select Board are kind of co-hosting and having those tough questions about, can we move the playground structure or not? The date was May 16, 6 to 9. Is that the right date? Oh my God, I said that out loud. Now I'm
Might be
trying
the
to remember.
13th.
Was it the
13th?
13th? I thought it was the 16th. I might have written down the wrong date. So Mark, we may
whatever.
need to look at the minutes to make
We can
sure
look
you
at the
have that
minutes,
on
yeah.
your calendar.
What was the time though? You said 6 to 8?
6 to 9, I'm sorry, 6 to 9. They were gonna try to get all the stakeholders together, have a good discussion and land on, okay, now we know what can be done. So it sounded great.
I'll crash it if I wasn't formally invited.
You were, I do
Of
remember
course
You
you're
were.
that.
invited. You're on the rec
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah. And also because you're on the planning too. So I think you have those two roles. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that. And the other piece of information that came up at that meeting, and I immediately emailed Josh, and copied Jeannie and Kate, is they presented a, spreadsheet that listed what the ARPA money through the select board, what they decided to commit it to, if there's been any contracts, and then what's remaining to spend. And they have a strategy they're going to talk about how they can make sure the money is obligated, because again, the timeline is ticking. But what I noticed is there was $100,000 that was listed as a grant match for the new playground. And then there was a question in the column that says, was the Three Parks Committee going to include the full cost of the playground in their $450,000? So I immediately emailed Josh and I said, the plan was that we were shooting for the VORAC grant that we did not get, but we were going to reach out to the select board to see if there was other funding that could pay for half of the playground, so that the $450,000 that the Three Parks is working on only is committing half of the cost of the playground. So we roughly said 200,000. So 100,000 from the VORAC grant or the town somehow, and 100,000 from the 450,000 that the Three Parks is working on. So I did not hear back from Josh, but my bells were ringing, because I've looked at the budget that Three Parks has. Right now, they put in the full amount and they're over budget. So they put in 199 or 191,000. And so I really want the Three Parks Committee to, the select board to say, oh, okay, we know you didn't get the VORAC grant, but we have enough ARPA funds to cover half of it. Three Parks, you just, put in the other half if, things move forward as we hope they do with getting the playground in a safe spot. So that was the other thing that I was like, ooh, okay. They actually put a little spot on the spreadsheet. I was like, that's good, because we didn't get the VORAC grant. So I'm kind of hoping that works out. And just waiting for Josh to get back. I don't know that maybe it will be a discussion. Lisa, it sounds like you guys are gonna talk about that. formalizing a plan for how you obligate things at the next select board meeting. So that might be an additional question that gets asked.
You talking about recreation in that light?
About that $100,000 that's
Oh,
sitting
yeah.
as a commitment, and I'm like, oh, that's good.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have a good mental note of
Yeah,
what and where and all that.
yeah,
do something thinking to
I
pay
looked
attention
at
to.
it and I said, oh my God,
Mhm.
look at it, it's right there. And
Mhm.
he doesn't know, he wasn't quite sure what to do with it. So,
And
so
then-
I'm still trying to see if
That
that
happens.
works out.
Mhm.
So I thought that was a good thing, you know, and hopefully that frees up some money for 3 parks. So that's my update there.
Okay.
All right. So the next is the collaboration with the 3 parks committee and the updates on the playground structure. And so I did want to make sure, Jeannie, that you got in the notes that Kirsten had come up with some recommendations if for some reason they weren't able to move the playground to the higher ground, because she said you could basically design the playground if it was staying in place with, you know, some kind of mechanism that allows the water to flow through, or blocks it. She called them Jersey, let's see, I put it
Yeah.
in the notes.
There's the barriers.
Jersey barriers.
Right.
And the
Yeah.
other thing she was really concerned about was the safety on the playground going up, you know, higher near the river. So,
Sure.
so
And
the
the-
fencing. Yeah, so I just wanted to, you know, I just wanted to make sure that that got back to you because we had that conversation. You weren't at that meeting, Jeannie. So,
Yep, I saw your
yeah.
notes, so yeah.
yeah, water to pass through if it stays on the ground level somehow. You know, I'd have to see a picture to see how that works, but I guess there are,
Sure.
you know, things
Oh,
that
yeah.
can be done. So,
I
yeah.
think the summit is really, I think what we want to know is
Yeah.
if should we ever put another playground in that spot that keeps just getting destroyed all the time? You know,
Yeah.
if we can't build on the plateau, what do we do? You know,
Yeah.
is there another spot? That I think, well, I don't know, because we've just had a lot of mixed messages from zoning too about what we can and can't do
Yeah.
there.
And
So I think that's all. We got to get that clarification.
Yeah, and I do think that we've had a conversation, the 4 of us, and we still think that the playground's worth keeping no matter where it is. And that there's just ways that you can remediate it so it's not, even in the design.
Yep.
Kirsten said the design can be such that it won't be as impacted from water, you know. So, and I don't know that in your specs with the 3 that came in, I don't know if that was part of it where you asked about, you know, dealing with water infiltration
Yes.
or not. Okay.
Yeah, we did. We did.
Okay. So there's, you know, again, there's probably stuff there that, you know, gives you a sense, but yeah. Lisa,
Well,
I
it's good
see.
just,
Yeah, go ahead, Jeannie.
Oh, yeah, the Jersey barricades, I think you're going to see they'll have the same fate as the monument that marks the park.
yes.
I was I just was incredulous that that thing got
Yes.
undermined and it fell into its own hole. I mean,
Oh,
that thing must
okay.
weigh half a ton. So, well, probably more than that. And the flag went with it. Well, it knocked the flagpole over too. So,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
that was unbelievable, but that's what water
Okay.
does. You
Mhm.
provide water a
Mhm.
barricade or an obstacle, it goes, it starts
Yes.
flowing. What it does, it does divert the water and it speeds it up. And that it's
Yeah.
putting a backhoe in there,
Yeah.
just for digging down in front of the thing that it's flowing
Wow.
on. So
Wow.
Jersey barricades
Yeah.
are, unless they're anchored
Sometimes.
down, you know, into the planet somewhere, I don't think they'll go.
Yeah, okay. Well, good to know. Jeannie, you were gonna add something before
Well,
Lisa?
that's kind of what I would, because that's what we've learned about with all the zoning, about the things, how even a curb, you would think that would help, but instead the water flows over and goes faster. I've learned more about flood and flood zones and floodways and so the pieces that can and can't be approved, you know, to have for a new playground. So I think we've just been on hold. We haven't really talked at all about it until we figure out where should it be?
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good. I mean, I think that's again going to be a great meeting on the 16th.
Mhm.
To figure that all, to have those tough discussions. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
and
that's why we asked for this, because we said this is not something that our committee should be making a decision about. This is bigger than what we know about.
Well, and the other thing that, again, Mark raised, I think at the last meeting, is he said, some of the folks in town for that community engagement thing are not interested in putting a playground back where it was. So I think there's, some talk about that as well.
Exactly.
So yeah, so that whole community engagement, you might get some answers, and then as you reach out and get more input, I mean, I bet you it's just going to be a lot of different directions. That'll be the hardest part.
The hardest part, you're right. The hardest part is that the two pieces of that. One is, how do we ask a question? And then how do we interpret the results, or how do we use the results? And I think in a lot of cases, what the town does, we haven't framed the question narrowly enough for people to give a usable answer. I think that's what happened with the town, the vote for the town.
Oh, yeah.
It
That's right.
It was a lot of money, and nobody could really get their questions answered about, well, is there an alternative? Can we do this? Can we leave out such and such, whatever, what happens? So when people are uncertain, they vote no. And that's pretty much what happens. So I think, the more specific a question can be, then the more useful the answers are, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, I skipped over something I meant to ask. With the playground structure the way it is now, and they did a great job pulling it all together after the second flood. I did list, should we be asking Josh to try to do another inspection with the Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns? We did that in July. We didn't do it in December, just to get their take on the safety of the playground. So I did want to ask if that's a request we should make to Josh, or maybe Lisa, I can't remember if anything was said last night about that, because I know they're trying to do catch up and stuff, but I don't know that was even discussed. So I did
my head's
want
still spinning from last night, so.
yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, Mark and Kate, do we ask, or, I mean, the playground looks so different to me right now. It doesn't look the same. So, I'm wondering if they just try to, the pieces that could be saved just got installed. I don't know. Jeannie, what?
Yeah, well, I think this is just my personal opinion, but yes, I think you should ask, because, what if we find out there are some pieces that should be closed right now?
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything
Yeah.
dangerous? And
Yeah.
because
It really
that
should
footing
happen.
almost got, yeah.
Yeah, I almost feel, I mean, again, it's like, well, December was the flood, but I guess it wasn't an opportune time to do an inspection. So spring's coming, and I'm thinking, I just saw a ton of kids on the playground, and the families, when I was driving by earlier this evening at like 5, I said, God, everyone loves that playground.
Yeah, and baseball will be starting down there too.
Yeah, so I'm happy to reach out to Josh and ask him, and Duncan. I think Duncan might have organized it, so I'll send it to Duncan and to just say, hey, since the second flood, we really haven't gotten inspected. I think that would be worth getting done. I don't know if they charge the town for those or not, but all right, so I'll do that. Anything, Jeannie, that we don't know about, that the Three Parks Committee has taken action upon since Mark and I went to a meeting? I can't remember when it was, in March, maybe. I think it was in March. So is there anything that we need to know about?
Well, no, I think you you know that our deadline was extended. I mean, we all thought we were going to be finished by now. Ha ha.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I did.
so it's been extended to October. However, we really hope that we can get things to the select board before then, because they have to, you know, there are a lot of pieces that will have to go to bid. So
Yeah.
we know that we pretty much have Brown's Court kind of wrapped up. We were on hold to wait to see what happened at town meeting. So now we can at least
Yeah.
pull that together.
Yeah.
But we, you know, I guess our discussion is going to be, do we present some of this in pieces, or do we wait so that we know how much money we have left? Maybe we won't be able to put benches in at Brown's Court if we need that money to finish or to do a playground, you know, those sorts of things. So we're a little bit afraid to present it, you know, one park at a time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, okay. And are you guys still meeting every 2 weeks, or is it a different schedule? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
just, yeah, we don't have a regular schedule. It just seems like we come up, you know, depending on who's available when.
Art?
Yeah, actually, to that point, Jeannie, I'm not going to be able to make tomorrow's meeting because
Okay.
there's a PC meeting same night.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
probably the next time we'll talk is, well, we'll meet at the next rec committee at the latest, unless you guys schedule something in between, which you guys probably will do another one towards the end of this month. That
Well, we'll have we're kind of, we'll wait for the summit to know what it is that,
Hmm.
which isn't until
we
May
do.
13th.
yeah.
But you'll still be acting on moving forward on some of the Brown's Court work, right?
Yes.
And I
yes.
guess my point would be, my suggestion would be that you know, it's a big pot of money. There's certain things that I think the Parks Committee has sort of gelled on as far as costs are concerned. You know,
Right.
reworking the field, getting proper fencing for that, maybe some benches for the players, the pickleball court, the bocce courts. Those are kind of things that minus all the accoutrements of water fountain towers and miscellaneous park benches. I mean, those are fundamentals that if I were at the meeting tomorrow, I would ask you guys to start moving forward with getting some hard quotes, making sure that that's sort of queued up. Because once you do that and you take that lump sum of money that you guys have already decided is kind of where it's going up there, then
Mhm.
you can take that away and then, okay, this is what's left. What can we do with what's left? We can, you know, go big and do a whole new park and gazebo operation up on the hill, and but at least then you'll sort of have an idea of, okay, how much money do we have left, and where do you want to focus getting quotes on next, and you know, and if there's spare change left over, you know, we can buy $1,000 handicap accessible picnic tables, because you know, really you're close to those kinds of numbers for that. So you can fill up a lot of chump change by just bringing in parks and benches and
Sure.
trash
Well,
cans.
mhm. And I think we're there. But again, like when you said, even the bocce courts, I mean, maybe we need that money for the playground or the band shell. So we just, you know, aren't ready to say we have it totally. And we're not ready to say, here's how much. We don't want to say this is what we have left over to work at Volunteers Green. We want to, you know, say that maybe Volunteers Green is, some of those things are going to be more of a priority. So we're just all in that process, but we have mostly quotes. We have quotes and bids for every single thing that we've been working on so far.
Enough
I mean,
to satisfy.
from the big stuff to the little stuff. And,
Good.
you know, it may be, here's what we absolutely want. Here's what we would sure like to have. And here are things that are for the future.
Right.
for the future rec committee to look at. So,
Rec
does that make
direct,
sense?
rec emperor.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and I'll Jeannie try to come to the April meeting with you guys to hear the latest. So I'll look on the website for that.
Our meeting is tomorrow night. We've
Oh.
scheduled all the meetings whenever there's a big storm or some weather
yeah.
event happening.
Brilliant.
Oh, right, you mentioned that.
That's why we said we're going to just let the meteorologists know when we schedule our next meeting.
That's true. Yep. Okay.
Oh, that's funny.
All right. Well, I think we're almost to the end. We have our action steps moving forward because May 7th is officially the last date that Kate and I will be meeting as rec committee members. So we've got almost a month to kind of get things rolling along. And I think one of the questions, the other question I had is, do you think that this is a good time to review our work plan, priorities and strategies? We could do that at the last meeting just to see, if something percolates as a priority area. And the one that I'm thinking is we did add, a item called, let's see, where is it? I think it was collaboration on Volunteers Green. But maybe that's something that again makes more sense, is kind of talking about maybe beefing up how the rec committee collaborates and communicates across all the committees that have recreation as a area that they're focused on, from the trails committee to the 3 parks. So I'm just throwing that out there, as that certainly does seem like something that percolates to the top, that may be worthwhile to, kind of point out for the transition as new people come on board, and or the coordinator, whatever we're calling the guru, the rec committee for a volunteer or paid staff person does. So do you want to spend any time to just kind of look at our work plan and at the next meeting on May 7th? So I'm just trying to think of the agenda items for that meeting, since it'll be our last time together.
Yeah,
Does that make any sense?
any
or
of
no?
your final thoughts, so to speak, and have a record of that for the last
Okay.
meeting, so we can close out with that. And then depending on how the recruiting process goes, my experience, I'm honestly not overly optimistic, but we can roll into and just sort of help with attend the 3 parks committee short term until we formulate something independent that's more long term.
Yeah, I like that plan, Mark. That's good. Yeah.
So with your thoughts on that, I'll get a recruiting status for everyone as far as any potential opportunities. I will reach out to Josh and Fran, obviously, and sketch out a responsibilities maybe, or goals for a park director. And then we can go over that and tune it out, and be ready to bring it before the select board, sometime in late May or June.
That sounds good. Yeah. And then, of course, the summit will happen. The rec committee summit will happen too. So yeah, May will be a big month. That's good. I think that's a good plan. Any
Yeah,
other
Mark-
ideas?
I was just gonna say, Mark, that's great, to bring that up to Josh, get it on the agenda for the select board, and
Get his thoughts too.
exactly. And then he can tell the select board what it is we need to do. And the select board is most likely going to do it. I don't know anybody that's opposed to recreation. It's just such a large, it's such a large topic, you know, it's hard to summarize it in a few words.
Hard to define it.
Yeah, yeah.
Hard to put
We
it
know
in
it
a
when we see it,
box
but yeah.
because it's
Mhm.
everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
So, yeah, if Josh, if he refuses to do that, well, I guess I'd be surprised, but we go in a different direction. But I think the select board will be supportive of that. And especially since I don't know if we've actually formally, I'm thinking about the rec summit on the 13th. I assume the select board will attend. You know, that's up to the
It's-
individuals. I will.
The select board is hosting the meeting.
Okay.
You're
Oh,
hosting
well,
it.
I've seen those
Let
things
us hope.
go one way or another. Yeah, if it's not and actually the board meetings are so regularly scheduled that people put them in their calendar for the next year, you know, and then they just go, oh, okay. This is something that, you know, is a one-time thing, maybe 2 times, but doesn't fit the normal the little mile posts, I guess you call them, along the road there. So I would think most of the select board will be there. I hope they are, maybe all of them. But there's other commitments too. You wouldn't believe how much time all this stuff takes when you type it all up. It's, you know, I don't have a day job, so I'm lucky. Well, maybe I'm not lucky. I don't have money either.
There's a rec committee position that's going to be out soon.
I don't think it's going to pay enough.
A rec director, I should say.
Yeah.
That's right.
I've seen where I lived before in Cranberry Township in Pennsylvania, they hired a rec director. Andy, I forget his last name, but Andy is a redheaded guy. He was like a human dynamo. I couldn't believe the energy that guy had. Well, I wasn't that old back then, but he was younger than me, and he knew his stuff. So that what a great combination. And he really created the park that the town currently has. If you ever go there, Western Pennsylvania, go through their park, community park. It's unbelievable. They have fitness stations, they have ball fields, they have a driving range, I think. You know, it's like, holy cow. Of course, there's 40,000 people there, so
Right.
they have the
And
money.
it's not in a flood zone.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
That's true. It's not anywhere near the Allegheny River. So
The good old
I've seen
days
it work.
when we
I've seen what that kind of a position can do, and it's
Mhm.
I think the way to go. Well, we'll
used
see what
to
everybody
say
thinks.
that floods were every 20 years or 50 years. Now it's every 5 years. Now it's twice a year.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
Anyway,
Planet
all
is
right.
what it
Well,
is.
I feel like we've done justice unless I'm forgetting something, but I
I
feel
had
like
one more thing, Sherry, because I
Okay.
saw it on the agenda. Are we doing
Okay.
a spring cleanup at Volunteers Green again, or are we not? Because we're pretty much done on the rec
yeah,
committee.
I don't think
Okay.
we are, Kate. I had
Sounds
taken
good.
that off my radar
Yeah.
because just because of the timing of when our
Right.
thing ends. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. I was just wanting to clarify that.
Yeah. So
And-
we did it last year, but this year, I know that we were thinking that Green Up Day was not the best time because there was
Mhm.
so much going on that weekend that we were gonna pick a different spring cleaning day, but yeah, I think we should pass on that.
Sounds good.
for
Yeah,
this
I agree.
year.
The timing didn't work out that well last year.
Yeah, yeah, it was fun. You know, I definitely
Mhm.
enjoyed it, but yeah, that was a busy day. Trying to
Yeah.
move that sand. Oh my goodness. The
As all the
sand.
kids are playing in it. It's like
Yeah.
nobody had any clue what we were doing.
Oh my goodness, that was amazing. So anything else?
I just have one thing. I know I'm far too optimistic to think I'm gonna do all this in April, but I will try to reach out to your point, Sherry, to try to attend some of the other committee meetings in April, just so that I can bring that back to you guys for one
Okay.
last insight on things.
Yeah.
And maybe some ideas for moving forward in a more cohesive manner.
Yeah, because I do remember we had the Trails Committee person, I forgot her name, and they were thinking about the Vorak grant. And so there was an opportunity to kind of work together for the next VORAC grant. And I did send Jeannie a copy of our grant application for VORAC in December, so they have it. And again, that would be the question is, is that another grant that goes in December, which still could happen, to try to get funds from that. And it could help the Trails Committee, the 3 parks, and the Rec Committee. So, yeah, no, that's a great idea.
We just need a rec director, right? To write the grant for all the committees.
You got it.
Yeah, I think Revy wrote the grant the first time.
I think
I
it was
don't know,
like
I
me and Kirsten, right? And then you helped a little bit.
I don't remember if I helped on that first grant. I did
You
on the
helped
second one.
yeah, you definitely helped a little bit. I
Okay.
think it was mostly Robbie and Kirsten, but
Yeah. So yeah, and who knows, maybe there's another pot of money somewhere. But okay, well, great. I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn if I
You go rest up. I'll move to adjourn this evening's.
second it.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, appreciate all of you on today, and thanks, Kate, for setting up the Zoom at the place. And I'll definitely see you
Yes.
guys on May 7th or sooner on Zoom.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds
Night,
good.
everyone.
Hope
Thank
you
you.
recover soon. Have a good night.
Okay, bye.